Hello and welcome to this series of interviews. Today we are very excited. Well, I am, not we, because it's only me here, to introduce Danielle Serpico, who is sponsoring the Sparkle and Thrive Summit, which means you get a lot of Danielle, and she is so fabulous. So it's very exciting. So I'm just going to let you know, I've got my questions, I've got my bio stuff. So this is just not, I'm not a polished one person with all of this. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Danielle, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what she's doing in the Sparkle and Thrive Summit, but we're also going to do some really good stuff where we're going to share some great value with you to get you thinking about how you can build your business without burning out. So Danielle is a master coach and NLP trainer, author, hypnotist, and founder of the Black Mastermind Academy. She is not just a coach. She is a walking embodiment of transformation, which I love. She has been on quite a journey, losing everything, rebuilding her life, and creating a thriving six-figure business, which she now uses as a blueprint to help others. So her message is simple but profound. You don't need to do more. You need to become more. Some things just make me go, oh. So Danielle, as I say, is sponsoring the summit, so you're going to see a lot about Danielle. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about two of the talks, because she's doing 4, which is amazing. She is doing a talk on day 1, which is about mindset and resilience, and it is about rewiring for limitless productivity and breaking free from overwhelm, mastering your mindset and resilience to unlock your full potential and lead with clarity. We all love a bit of clarity. And then on day 2, I've gone too far, which is all about smart time strategies and peak productivity. She's going to be talking about the aligned entrepreneur, so we can scale with ease and flow, maximizing your time, doubling your capacity, and creating sustainable habits for long-term success, all of which sounds fabulous. Now, I have given you a little hint about Danielle from her bio, but now we get to speak to Danielle. And my first question is, can you share a little bit about your business journey and what got you to where you are now, even though I've dropped a hint?
I would love to, Anna. So often my business journey is described, or I describe it as one of resilience, right? But it's a lot deeper than that, you know. I found myself in a situation where after 36 years, I was standing in front of a judge declaring myself bankrupt. I'd lost everything, absolutely everything, my home, my business, and more importantly than anything, my sense of identity, right? But it wasn't really even hitting rock bottom that defined me. It was the moment that I realized the reason for my fall, let's say. It wasn't just external circumstances, though they had a lot of input in it, because there was the crash of the Celtic Tiger over here in Ireland, etc. But what it was the conversation that I had and was having with myself every single day. My subconscious beliefs constantly telling me that I wasn't good enough, you know, that success wasn't really for someone like me. And that's when I realized that true transformation, or, you know, success doesn't really come from external success, but it starts with always starts on the inside. So I went from being homeless at that point to 4 years later owning my own home, another home outright, running a 6-figure business. And I did that really and truly by aligning my internal world first with the actual external outcomes that I wanted. And today I help entrepreneurs and other businesses do the same thing. And my passion is teaching people that the real key to lasting success and being able to hold it is understanding the subconscious patterns that drive every single one of us, our decisions, our actions, and ultimately our results.
I love it. And it's something very close to my heart as well, having done NLP and all of that kind of stuff. You can't underestimate it, can you? The sort of that inside bit as I say, not very I'm not the most technical of people. I never have been, I never will be, but it is, isn't it? It's just such a powerful thing to be able to get to grips with and have fun with as well, and build on.
Yeah, that's 100%. Absolutely. We've fun is a big part of it. Having fun is a big part of actually having success. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, because it's one of those things, isn't it, that we're just like, we can get so caught up in the seriousness of all of this. It's, you know, we need to sometimes just let go, be creative, have fun, and laugh at ourselves as well.
Laughing at ourselves is a great thing. I don't do it anymore. I used to do radio a lot. And I had a radio show called Mind Matters in Ireland on Dublin City FM. And I did that for 8 years. And I always started with a joke. A joke such as, I don't know, what do you call a funny mountain? Yeah, hilarious, of course. Right? You get it? Boom, boom. And the reason for that, I would always then say, whether you're laughing with me or at me, I've still done my job, and my job is to help you change your mind. Because obviously when we release serotonin, when we get those good endorphins going in, we are more open, we are more receptive, we're ready to learn, we're ready to take in information. We're not so being in our mature adult selves and in logic and trying so hard to think. You know, we're more in allowing, and that's a great energy to be in.
It is, isn't it? So what advice would you give to someone feeling overwhelmed by the demands of growing their business? It's a nice lead on, isn't it, really?
So, okay, when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a sign that you're actually trying to do everything, right? But not necessarily the right things. And this usually stems from our subconscious beliefs that we have to prove ourselves, you know, or that success isn't something that you earn through struggle. So my advice is this: take a step back and reconnect with your why. Reconnect with your why. Why did you start this business? You know, when I think back when I started it, I couldn't help but share some of these habits or rituals that I'd started to do for myself to help myself, you know, think and feel and talk to myself in more beneficial ways. And of course, if you know, you're a good person, and most people are good people, you know, you can't help but want to share that information. So my why was because I wanted to share, I wanted to help people. So if we go back to our whys and we remember that, you know, why did you start your business? You know, what impact, you know, do you actually want to make? And then simplify it, and simplify it. Simple is wonderful. The brain loves simple. You know, focus on one or two things that move the needle forward. You know, the rest, a lot of that is often just noise, you know, born out from the fear of not doing enough or thinking that you're not enough. And here's the truth, you know, growth is only sustainable when it's aligned, in the sense of when it flows from a place of clarity and ease versus fear or need and should are two of the worst words that you could possibly ever use on yourself, right?
I agree.
Yeah, one of my clients, and I always use it now, he actually started this with me after I used to always say it to him, so it's a bit rude, but I always say never should on yourself. A little bit vulgar, but if you say it fast enough, never should on yourself. It's not good. It's a bad thing to do. We are creatures that do what we want, not what we should or need. So focus on what you want and build on that. And that's also a real hint on communication and effective communication. When you talk to people, do you use the word need or should, or do you use the word want? Using the word want as an influential means, I'm a hypnotist, is much more powerful than saying you need to do this or you should do this. You know, say you might want to do this, and that's where the power lies. And that's what opens up a little bit like the serotonin and the jokes. It opens up the way in to be more influential in a really beneficial way. So do the inner work, you know, listen to your intuition, go back to the why, and prioritize kind of what matters.
Yeah, it's the thing that occurs to me, which I think I think is a challenge within our world of business, is that so many women, men, small businesses, their marketing is very much should. And you should be doing this. You should want to get to 6 figures. You should want to get to 8 figures. You shouldn't want to get to 8 figures because that's low. So it's all based on that should, isn't it? Rather than, well, actually, what do you want? What's going to work for you? What, you know, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's like there's so many people shouting out there on social media of the shoulds and coulds, and, you know, this is what you need. And that, I think, is, you know, I think that's creating some of the overwhelm as well, isn't it?
100%. And like, if we listen, if we actually, there's a big difference between having heard something and wisdom. Huge difference between saying you know something and really knowing it. Knowing it, for me, is embodying it, is actually using it. And everyone has heard, and we regurgitate information and we say, oh yeah, I know that already. And most people have probably heard that, you know, don't say need or should, but then they use it. They use it in their marketing, they use it in their advertisement. And we even know intellectually, for example, you know, I'm sure you've heard this said, and you probably teach this as well, is when you're marketing is you give them what they want and then, sell what they want and then teach what they need. You know, give them what they need once you've got them in, but you get them in by giving them what they want. That's the key. And we say it, we say we know it, but then I see it every day. I see people putting posts up, you know what you really need, you know what you should do. And that's just instant, like, repulsion. It's instant. Don't tell me what I should do. Do you know what I mean? It has the opposite effect.
Yeah, I have a lovely little graphic, funnily enough, in a lot of my talks that's like a tug of war around what they think they need and what you think they need and what they want.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what tools, techniques or habits have been most effective for you in managing your time and energy?
Okay. One of the most effective tools for me has been a daily practice of visualization, right? I spend a few minutes every morning not just visualizing my goals, but feeling the emotions that are linked with achieving them. And that sets my tone for the day and my energy with the outcome that I want to create. And, you know, of course there are practical tools, like, you know, I use it a lot, time blocking, right? Okay, and scheduling my time. Like, you know, we all know you got to plan. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail, right? Yeah. Okay, so yes, absolutely, time blocking. So that allows me to stay present in whatever I'm doing. It's less overwhelming, because what happens is when we're overwhelmed, our brain is going everywhere at once. But if we've even created a really simple plan or marked it off in a calendar or in a diary or something like this, then immediately the brain is calmer, because you've got a plan. It knows it's not going around in circles going, well, where are we going today, Danielle? Where are we going today, Danielle? It goes, okay, well, you've made a decision. We know what we're doing for the next hour or whatever. So it immediately helps you to feel less stressed and overwhelmed, and allows you to be more present in the time that you're in. So that includes not just time for your business, but also the time that you spend for your family, with your family. I also put in me time in my calendar. I put me time in for breaks in between client calls, just to gather myself, just to take out, to close my eyes, to do a 2-minute, you know, breathing exercise, and to come back into myself, back into the present. Because when you're coaching, you're giving out a lot of energy, and you want to make sure that you're refilling yourself, right? So you allocate the time, block out the time for taking care of yourself, for everything, your quality time with your family. And that means you're all in. I'll give you an example. I had a client of mine who was asking me, she was saying she had no time, and she was saying, my kids are really upset with me because they say I never spend any time with them, right? Now, as it turned out, she was a work-at-home mum, so she actually spent a lot of time with them, but it wasn't quality time. And I said, could you block out, like, literally 50 minutes or half an hour of the day just with them, nothing else? So eventually, you know, convinced her to do that. Right. And it's not even that we need a lot of time with our loved ones, whatever, but we need presence. more so than anything. So like this completely changed their whole relationship, because they felt like number one, because they felt their mum was back present with them, and they had her full attention, rather than 4 hours or 6 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours, but scattered, always like they're chasing. So blocking your time is really, really important. And you know, being able to say no, if something doesn't align with your long-term plan, your long-term vision, even if it seems like a good opportunity in the moment, sometimes being able to say no and stay focused on what kind of really brings you joy and to your bigger purpose. I think that's a real game changer in maintaining your energy and like your sanity.
Which randomly leads me very nicely on, but I think you might have just answered it. How do you decide what to say no to? Which I think is going to be my favorite question.
Well, like, again, as I said, like, I think you've got to trust your intuition. You've got to go with your gut and go back to, you know, your whys. Go back to why you're in this business. What are you doing it for? I mean, I often say, if it's something that's aligned with where you're going, say yes. You know, we've heard Richard Branson's, a quote by Richard Branson, say yes and figure it out how afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, I've read all his books. I love his stuff, you know, but at the same time, say yes if it's aligned with where you're going.
Yeah.
Right. You know, we're naturally inclined to want to say yes. We're naturally inclined to want to say yes and be people pleasers. Can you say no? Can you say no with kindness? Can you say no with respect? Can you say no and say, like, you know, I would really like to help you out, but right now I've got to stay focused on what I'm doing. I've got to give my full energy to this, and maybe later I can review it and relook at it again. So saying no is it's a great thing, having that boundary in place and strengthening that, and strengthening your ability to stay focused. Stay in, like, having a boundaries plan is good. You know what I mean? Having a boundary plan, where is it overstepping? So this is a lot of stuff that, like, you know, I do from the inside out with people, is building your own inner strength and ability to actually respect yourself first, before anyone else, including your kids and your most beloved ones. You've got to put yourself first, and that means being able to say no sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, one of the key things with the no is to say no, as you say, with kindness, and not about 5 million excuses, because then, you know, it's that confidence in saying no, isn't it? It's like, it's no for this reason, not 20 reasons, because we don't like to say no.
That's a good point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to excuse it, but you might want to just explain it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what's one small but powerful step someone can take today to start building a more sustainable business? One small, powerful step.
Well, I believe everything starts with our communication. Everything. So either whether it's inwards or outwards.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I would say is check in with your self-talk. If you want to have a business, and I learned this, believe me, I learned this the hard way. And then once I had really copped this, once I'd really understood this, everything really started to change. I know it sounds fanciful, but it did. You know, check in with how you speak with yourself. Ask yourself, you know, what story am I telling myself about my business today? What story are you telling yourself? You know, are you saying something like, this is too hard, or I don't have what it takes, you know, or I'm not like that person. You know, I am, by the way, are two of the most powerful words. And again, we've heard it, yeah. But are we utilizing it? Are we utilizing You know, and one of the things that happened to me is I was in the restaurant business. Like, that's how I lost everything. I had 3 restaurants and a gift shop at 36 years of age. And I was, you know, business owner with, you know, my little empire, and was worth like about 2 million. And I lost everything in the crash of the Celtic Tiger. But I really, really learned then that I had been hiding behind a different identity, a false identity. I was hiding a mask. And it was only then that I realized, oh my God, the inner voice was dreadful, how I spoke to myself. And I identified terribly. I identified as a fraud. I identified as, I had imposter syndrome. I identified as a little child lost. All the issues that I've never addressed came flooding up. And it, you know, was horrible at the time because I was in a very bad way, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Looking back now. So how we speak to ourselves and how we identify and the words that we use, such as I am, are really, really important. So start to rewrite how you speak to yourself. Change that. I was practical. And I think that's one of the reasons why it worked so well for me, because I actually used it. I didn't just hear it, I put it to use. So start by changing your language. Start affirming what's really possible. You know, I am learning every day. Like, you know, use your affirmations, use your words wisely. You know, I am capable. I am more than capable. I am becoming more capable of building something incredible. You know, it might seem small, but these tiny little shifts start to change the way you approach your work, your everything. Because the truth is that if you don't believe you're worthy of success, your subconscious will most certainly find a way to hold you back. Or even if you do manage to touch on success and get it, you'll lose it. Your subconscious mind will sabotage you, and because you don't believe you're worthy of it, and you will lose the money. That's why lotto winners get it, then lose it, waste it, you know, spend it, go broke again, because they are not aligned with who they are inside. The who has not changed. The external circumstances have changed. So unless you are able to align your inside world with the external circumstances, you will, even if you get the money, you will sabotage yourself and lose it. So rewire those beliefs and you'll watch your business grow as a result.
I think it's that thing, isn't it? It's the embodiment that's quite key, because we can hear it and then we don't always do it, which leads me very nicely onto talking about day 3 and day 4 of Danielle's amazing talks. We have lots of speakers who are going to do amazing talks, but obviously Danielle's doing super duper speaking. So on day 3, we are talking about magnetic marketing and client attraction, and Danielle's talk on magnetic visibility is going to feed beautifully into that day, where we're going to discover how to attract authentically and effortlessly, which really does feed into what we've spoken about today. And then finally on day 4, which is about sustainable growth and client experience, and on that one, Danielle is doing a talk on psychology of loyal clients: attract, keep, and elevate with unshakable alignment. I love these titles, by the way. So this is all about unlocking hidden triggers that drive client loyalty, and also keeping FOMO whilst aligning with your core values. And that's very much an abridged version. And obviously you'll be able to learn a lot more about the summit as the next few weeks goes on. And I want to thank Danielle for sponsoring the summit. And if you have, I'd love to hear from you as well, your key takeaways from what we've been talking about today in the comments. You'll obviously be able to connect with Danielle in the comments as well. And yeah, it's going to be a fabulous summit, and I will see you around. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye.